On Wednesday, November 17, there's a great night of boxing on Main Event, culminating in mandatory world title challenger Tszyu's clash with world number 7 Tszyu Inoue. But there is also a stacked undercard featuring some of the stars of Australian boxing. I'm Ben Damon, and on this show, I'll talk to 3 of the fighters who are also former Tszyu opponents. This is the way the pay-per-view card looks for November 17, and shortly I'll speak to the popular Ryan, who fights in the co-main event against Japan's Tszyu, former multiple world title challenger Dennis Hogan, who fights Tommy Brown, and former Aussie champ Joel Camilleri, who takes on Koen Mazudia. First, we head to Gunnedah, where we find co-main event fighter Ryan, who's become a regular fixture on these no-limit shows. Wade, you're on a roll at the moment, and you're heading into another big televised fight with an international opponent. What is life like as the king of Gunnedah?
Yeah, mate, everything's coming along good, you know, and getting these opportunities on great fight cards with no limit has just put an extra spring in our step. And yeah, everything's going well, mate, and we couldn't be happier with the way things are going at the moment. Yeah.
You've had a 3-fight winning streak, and a couple of those fights have been on big shows as well. You must have really experienced a surge in your popularity, people recognising you and the support that you've had.
Yeah, mate, it's been unbelievable, you know. Like we're starting to finally get a bit of recognition for the hard work that we've put in over the years, and yeah, like it's starting to really pay off. We're getting some really good fights. We're getting some good back-to-back wins, and starting to get recognised as one of the best Australian super welterweights in the country. And we continue that rise, mate. Yeah.
You're 19-9 as a pro, and you were probably on the brink of becoming sort of a journeyman figure, but you've managed to turn it all around, and now you go into these fights on big shows as the A side. What is it that's made this improvement possible, where people are now saying you're probably the most improved boxer in the country?
Yeah, mate, I think a couple of them losses made me and my trainer spike, so I sort of sit back and look and think, you know what I mean? Like we're better than that. We've stuck together through thick and thin. We've worked hard, and we've just got back to the drawing board and really thought about things, thought where we want to go, and meeting up with Matty and George Rose from No Limit and giving us this exposure and this opportunity, you know, and we've never looked back. We're working hard, we're staying grounded, and we're just taking each fight as it comes and improving on each fight, and looking at that IBO world title now, mate.
That victory most recently against Troy O'Meara, again on one of these Tszyu undercards, maybe the highlight so far of your career, given the stage and given the performance?
Yeah, mate. Look, we had a good fight, the first fight with Troy O'Meara, and they thought they were maybe a little bit hard done by on the first fight, and they wanted the rematch, and we give them the rematch, and yeah, we just put in the work, and yeah, and it showed on fight night, and that, yeah, everything come together that fight, but we've got to improve on that fight for this next fight, which we're doing. We're working hard in the gym, sparring, and everything comes down to this next fight, mate.
Yeah, it's a massive fight, this one. Another big step up for you. Your opponent, the Japanese fighter who has gone the distance with Tszyu Inoue in Inoue's most recent fight. His name is Tszyu, a really tough fighter. Have you had a good look at that fight that he had with Inoue and any other fights in deciding to take this opportunity?
Yeah, mate. When Matty and George sort of suggested that this fight's on the horizon, me, Spike, and Toddy Macklin, our other cornerman, we all sat down and had a good look and watched that fight with Tszyu Inoue, and there was another couple of fights we watched on YouTube, and yeah, it's a good fight. It's a really good challenge, and that's what we're looking to do now. Like we're in this stage of our career where each fight leads to where we want to get, and by fighting the good opponents, and yeah, it's going to be a good fight, mate. Yeah, going to be a good fight.
Yeah, he's very, very tough. We saw that in his Inoue fight. He's 7-1-2 as a pro, so the record doesn't look incredible. But when you think that the only loss is that one against Inoue, and it was a narrow points decision as well, those Japanese records are probably stronger than what they look on paper. Do you think that this would be the toughest fight of your career so far?
Yeah, mate, 100%. Like that fight he had with Inoue was a cracker, you know. Like they give it to each other. They were very tough, very fit, and this fight, I expect no different. You know what I mean? It's going to be a tough fight, but also, yeah, it's a step up in opposition. You know what I mean? Like Ben Mahoney pulled out due to his reasons, but we're not worried about that. We're focused 100% on this next fight, 17th of November. And yeah, it's going to be a good fight, mate.
You're obviously you're a shy country bloke, Wade, but you're heading to the big smoke again as co-main on a big show like this. How do you cope getting out there in front of that crowd and doing what you do and doing it so well each and every time?
Yeah, mate, it's a good feeling, you know. Like I'm from a little small country town. And the whole town's behind me, the community, the businesses, my sponsors, family, friends. And yeah, we're all in this together, and to go onto the big stage and go and put on opportunity, you know what I mean? Show what we work hard towards is what it's all about. And yeah, it's just good. Everyone's embracing it, and yeah, we're just got to stay grounded and keep working hard, and that's what it's all about, yeah.
And Wade, it must feel good as well that you can say to people that you're the only person ever to drop Tszyu in a professional fight.
Yeah, mate, I am, you know, but that's a lot of water under the bridge. I'm just happy to be on the cards now with Tszyu and No Limit, and yeah, that give me that great exposure, you know, and that'll always be spoke about. But yeah, we've both come a long way since then, and yeah, it's good to say that, but yeah, I'm happy with where Timmy's going, where I'm going, and yeah.
That was back in 2017. I called that fight. It was a great performance by yourself. Tim having his 7th professional fight. How did it feel when you saw him in front of you, knowing that who he was and who he was meant to become, and suddenly he was on the floor?
Yeah, mate, that fight was a very, very big eye open, you know what I mean, being his father, Kosher, and how great a boxer he was, and being on a Johnny Lewis fight night at the Star City Casino, and yeah, and then just to be in front of him, on opposite side of him in the ring, it was probably an experience of a lifetime, mate. But yeah, it's both put us in good stead for where we're at now, and look at the pair of us now. We're working hard, and we're both fighting on the same cards and getting great exposure.
A few wanted to say that night that maybe the Tszyu hype wasn't real after he'd struggled in his fight essentially against you. What did you make of what you saw in front of you? Did you think, oh no, there's a bit more to Tszyu and he's going to improve?
Yeah, mate, the way he recovered and the way he ground the fight out over the 10 rounds, you know what I mean? He's relatively fresh, and I don't think he ever fought 10 rounds at that point in time. And to fight and come back the way he did and stay competitive throughout the whole fight just goes to show that he's a real deal in my eyes. And yeah, a lot of people might have said things like that about him, but look at him now. He's just improving each fight, and yeah, it's good to see the way he's going.
You've had a good look at Takeshi Inoue, obviously having a look at your opponent who fought him recently. How do you think Tszyu against Inoue goes on the 17th of November?
Yeah, mate, that's going to be a good fight, but I think speed, accuracy, and timing, and yeah, should Timmy's way, yeah. Yep.
And your prediction as well, Wade, for your huge fight and your massive opportunity?
Yeah, mate, it's going to be a good fight. Yeah, we're prepared to go the full 10 rounds, and yeah, a good tough fight.
All right, we can't wait to see you in action yet again, Wade. Love calling your fights and looking forward to seeing you in the ring again on November 17th.
Beauty, cheers, mate. Thanks, Ben. Thanks for having me, guys.
Brisbane-based Melburnian Joel Camilleri is in the middle of a mid-career resurgence with 3 straight victories after losing his Australian title against Tszyu, and he'll fight against Koen Mazudia on November the 17th. Joel, thanks so much for joining us. Looks like you've been having some pretty tough rounds there, mate.
Yeah, a few hard rounds. I sparred a kid named Dylan Biggs about a week and a half ago. Copped a bit of a shiner. Well, there it is. But yeah, it hasn't gone away since then.
Big fight for you again. As I mentioned, you're on that winning streak. Things seem to be going very, very well at this stage of your career. What's turned it all around?
I think just the belief in myself, changing environments, getting a new motivation, and I've put together a great team that actually I enjoy training now, and just learning new things and enjoying the sport's the most important thing for me.
What's life like for you in Queensland? Of course, you were in Melbourne for the vast majority of your career, but now there working with Dundee Kim, amongst others?
Yeah, so right now I'm working pretty much 50-50 with Dundee Kim and Paul Briggs. So get to spend 3 days in Broadbeach on the Gold Coast. His gym's in Burleigh Heads. Then I come back to Brisbane and, I really enjoy just changing up a bit.
And you're fighting against Koen Mazudia on this show on November the 17th. You would have seen his fight against Wade Ryan, where he was stopped in the last round. Many expected him to have too much for Ryan, but what did you make of that fight?
I always knew Wade Ryan's one of those guys who troubles everyone. He's a tough dude. If he takes you to the later rounds, he tries to break you. And I think we saw in that fight that Cohen's definitely very talented. I think just a bit green for Wade Ryan and people like myself.
He probably will have developed out of that fight. You mentioned that he was a little bit green. That would have been a great learning experience for him. You'd be expecting a better version of Koen Mazudia in this fight, I'd expect.
Yeah, 100%. He's hungry, nothing to lose. Was really tested physically and mentally his last fight, so he'll take a lot away from that. But for me, I just feel as though when you're coming off a loss, there's always that doubt in your mind. And, I believe I'm going to give him just as much trouble with my movement than Wade did. And, we'll see how he responds to it.
It's a big fight on another big show for you, Joel. What does a victory against Mazudia mean for you here?
Yeah, it means a lot, man. I think every single fight from here is career-defining. If I can't get through guys like Cohen, no offense to him, he's a great fighter, but if I can't get through guys like him, then, after 27 fights, where am I going?
That fight between yourself and Tszyu was such an important time in his career, just been launched as a pay-per-view fighter, but it seems that it was a really important fight for you as well. You made a lot of changes after that fight. What are your memories of that night?
I remember back then there was a bit of a question mark on Tim. I said, he hadn't been that tested apart from the fight with Wade Ryan. I learned that day how good Tim was in the ring, and I also learned that I can mix it with the best. Look what he's done since then, and look what I've done. I've grown, he's grown, so it kind of changed my career for the better.
Yeah, what was the fight like being in the ring there against Tszyu? You had some question marks on him. Did he prove you wrong, or did you feel that you were able to handle a lot of what he was doing?
To be honest, out of all my losses I've had, he's the only fight I can actually say he outboxed me. He just outsmarted me, and he just showed, he had a lack of experience, but he just showed how good he was on that day. And, a lot of people questioned him after that fight because I did trouble him for a few rounds and I made it awkward for him. But I told them, I'm like, man, he's just that good. I may have troubled him, but he's actually that good. And I didn't get the credit I deserve for that, and neither did he.
Are you surprised by the progression that he's made since then, or did you see that coming that night?
I told everyone. Even the first time I moved up here, everyone said to me, mate, if you'd done a bit more, done this, done that, you could have beaten him. But I said, Tim's kind of style he's got is to adapt to what's in front of him, and he adapted to be the better man of the night. So I'm not surprised at how well he's doing.
Is that what makes him so tricky, that he goes in there and does something different on each occasion and adapts so well in these fights?
Yeah, that's his one of his positives. He's so good at just reading the fighter the first couple of rounds, and you notice every third to fourth round he picks it up, he works you out, and he just works out what he needs to do to win the fight. So, yeah, it's something different.
And what did it do for you that night? Was it just that belief, or did you learn on the job in the ring? Because, as I said, you're undefeated since then, and you've beaten some decent opponents as well.
Yeah, well, I think people was saying like, oh, you got outboxed by Tim, what's he right now? And then since then, I fought Sam Columban, Adam Copeland, where they doubted me. And then I fought Luke Woods, who's one tricky fighter who just won the other day as well over Ethan Law. So I've progressed a lot since then.
You've also developed a significant friendship by the looks of things with Tszyu. You've spent a lot of time with each other. You've become one of the key sparring partners. And I think even the day after your fight, you went out for ice cream together. Is that right?
Yeah, went out for pancakes, man. Like, I make mates of all of my opponents. There's no bad blood between us. Well, never has been. But me and Tim are good mates, speak every day, or most days anyway. And he's just a good person, and he's a great athlete too. So it's good to be around him.
And what do you think of his fight against Tszyu Inoue on November the 17th?
People are saying, how tough he is. This Inoue went 12 rounds with Mongoya, but I think Tim's just going to slowly break him. I think he'll stop him by around the 9th to 10th round, but at the same time, it's a test. These Japanese guys come to fight, and they don't go down very easily. If you had any advice for Inoue facing Tszyu, what would you say? Or wouldn't you tell him anything? I wouldn't, because I don't know him, I wouldn't speak to him about it. But if we were good mates and I didn't know Tim, I'd just say, don't be fooled. Tim doesn't slow down. And how good do you think Tszyu's going to be? Obviously, you're in his corner quite firmly ahead of future potential world title shots. Do you think that he can beat the likes of Brian Castano and Jamel Charlo at this point? I think they're, this next test will really show you how well he handles the pressure fighters. I think, 1 to 2 fights away from a fight with Castano. There's just no rush. Just step it up, fight these guys who are world class, and then I think maybe one more fight after this before Castano, and then he'll be ready for him for sure. And what about for you, Joel? Assuming you can get through this fight against the very tough Koen Mazudia, what do you want next? There's some great domestic fights around this level, as we can see just from this card with all the super welterweight action we're seeing. But who do you want if you can get through here? Well, I want anyone who's one of the top super welterweights. So anyone on the card who wins their fights. Also, Ben Marnie's floating around as well. Like, there was Wes Capo I was meant to fight. Any fighter at super welterweight at the top, I want. I've already had Tszyu, but anyone apart from him, I will fight. And give us your prediction for your fight on November the 17th. My prediction is I don't even lose one round, to be honest. I think that I do have the possibility of stopping him around the 7th to 8th round, but I think I just outbox him, outmove him, and show him I'm actually stronger than I look. Must be exciting to be back on a big show like this. You've obviously been on some major shows on Main Event before, but back in action in Sydney with a huge venue must be really, really exciting for you. Yeah, it's something different than a local show to a Foxtel Main Event kind of show. I really appreciate No Limit guys for putting me on their shows, and I'm looking forward to a future just fighting on their shows, being seen by the whole of Australia and proving to everyone who Joel Camilleri really is. All right, Joel. Well, the very best of luck to you in your fight on November the 17th, and thanks for your time today. Thanks, Ben. Really appreciate it, mate. There's an important fight as part of this November 17 show between 51-fight veteran Tommy Brown and former multiple world title challenger Dennis the Hurricane Hogan, the Irish Aussie, and he joins us now. We haven't seen Dennis in action since that fight in March against Tszyu. How are you going now, Dennis?
Yeah, good, Ben. Very good. Training's going excellent.
You've had a few things to do with your body. I believe there was a knee operation. Everything okay now?
Yeah, we got the surgery and that, and the recovery's been quite good. So we're actually injury-free in this camp now, and that's how I want to keep it.
Tommy Brown is your opponent, someone who has been around in Australian boxing for a very long time. We all know him well. He's had 51 fights. He must have been someone that you've seen on multiple occasions over the years.
Yeah, look, I've seen him the whole way through ever since I got here, and he's always been involved in some big fights, and I think it's an absolutely great matchup. I'm so happy to get a fight like this right now, and training's going well for it to put in a good performance, because I know that's what it'll take to beat Tommy.
Yeah, what do you make of Tommy Brown? We've seen him overseas and in some big fights over the years. Where do you think you've got him covered?
Yeah, look, I mean, I do believe that I'll have a higher work rate than Tommy. I know it's a shorter fight in terms of rounds and that, but in which case I think he will come hard and fast. But I do think that I've got a bigger engine, and obviously a couple of things. Tommy loves his jab. I love my jab. So I really am relishing the idea of two sort of people who work behind their jabs to come together and see who's got the better jab and who can bring more off the jab. So all up, I think that's very exciting for me, and hopefully it is to the fans as well.
You're at an interesting stage of your career, Dennis. You're coming off 3 losses, but 2 of those are in world title fights. Another was against Tszyu. So what does a victory here against Tommy Brown mean to you?
Look, for me, up till that fight against Munguia, it was good momentum wins, and I believe boxing is all about momentum. So for me right now, this is the last shot of going off to be world champion. I do think there's one in me. I truly believe there is, but I think that we need to get back to winning ways, and this is my opportunity to do that. Get back and have a good win and kick on from here. If not, then who knows what the future would hold. But a great fight to do just that, and everything's going well for that.
It must be infuriating to look back on the fact that you should have had a world title already against Jaime Munguia when you got some very controversial cards. That must be something that really drives you to continue on and to get that world title.
Yeah, look, it is. It's, but what it did do is it just gave me the belief that I can go off to enemy territory and get a win against the champion. And that's something that, I didn't take lightly, and it certainly inspired me to kick on and do what I'm doing. And if I have another great performance like that again, who knows what could happen. So we'll give it another try anyway, and we'll go again.
The 31st of March was the last time that we saw you. It was against Tszyu. What are your memories of what happened that night?
Look, it is what it is. Everyone's seen it. I started off well, but it was just the craziest thing. It was my energy levels started to drop very fast, which I've not seen in a professional boxing ring before, especially to that extent. And usually if I'm going at a very high pace, it's usually my opponents that get tired before me, but it didn't seem to go that way that night. So I know that I obviously wasn't been able to breathe as good with my nose being broken. I think that had a bit to do with it, but also, credit to Tim. He was dropping in some good body shots that was zapping me as well. So, all up, there's a lot of things you can take from a fight like that, and from a camp and everything that's happened. And, losing is your biggest learning curve. And we just look to make it make all those things better. And obviously, keep doing the good things that we do well, and that should all just come together on fight night for this next fight.
An incredible atmosphere in Newcastle that night when it was dubbed the Newcastle Entertainment Centre for the first time, the Zoocastle Entertainment Centre. What was it like for you, essentially the opponent that night, even though you're a fellow Aussie, going into that arena against Tszyu with that huge crowd, essentially all against you?
Yeah, I mean, I've had that a few times. I've had that in Germany. I've had it in Mexico, and I've had it in America in Barclays Center. I mean, in Barclays Center, we had a lot of Irish. We had a lot of Irish in Mexico too. But, it is what it is. When you're fighting a homeboy on his turf, it's always going to be that. It means nothing to me, honestly. People support him, people support me. And, you're just going to get people screaming either way. I'm sure my opponents have felt the same thing when I fought, with on my home ground. So.
The first rounds of the fight, you must have been pretty happy with how things went. He was cut. It was a pretty much a perfect start for you.
Yeah, look, you might say that, and then you might also say that I did get fixated on that a little bit, and I wanted to try and aim for that bit more, which essentially, when I was throwing that overhand right, sort of left me open for those body shots, which Tim liked. So this is the thing about boxing that people probably don't understand is what might seem as a positive can actually turn out to be a negative. If I had kept my body covered a bit more, I might have stopped and nullified a lot of those body shots. But it is what it is.
Have you been hit to the body like that before, Dennis?
Look, it wasn't sore, mate, so I can't say. It was just very, very zapping. So, I've never been tired after the third or fourth round before. So, you take from that what you will.
I saw you in the dressing room afterwards. Your tongue was lacerated after the uppercut that he hit you with. That was a nasty punch that you received.
Yeah, look, and again, because my nose was broken, I couldn't breathe through my nose, so I was breathing through my mouth. And, an uppercut came and my tongue was just in the way, boom, where if my nose wasn't broken, I was breathing through my nose. It's never happened before, but it happened that night. So, it's just one of those things that you just have to take with it. And, we said we take the fight regardless. And, these are the ramifications of that. So we'll be a bit more smart in future.
What was he like, Tszyu, as an opponent? Obviously, had you measured that night, but was he a bit better than what you thought he was?
Yeah. Look, I've said that many times. It just looks like a style that that you can sort of that I'd be happy enough to outbox, and I've done it many times. But it's just that he's so strong in that regard. He's so strong at that one style of coming forward and boxing that it just really does work for him. So in terms of all these other things that I've seen with other fighters, Tim seems like he doesn't even need to do that to this point. So he's just very, very strong. He uses his youth, his strength well, and he doesn't mind taking a shot either. So it all works well for him. It's a good style.
You're vastly more experienced than Tszyu and most of the fighters around at the moment. You've fought for multiple world titles in the past. How far do you think Tim can go as a professional?
Yeah, look, he can be a world champion. There's no doubt. So all the best to Tim in his fight on that night. It'll be good to sit there and maybe say hello to him and watch him have a good win.
Well, it must be exciting as well to be a part of what will be a big show in Sydney, a huge crowd again, and a very exciting night on Main Event. Another great opportunity in what has been a brilliant career already for you.
Yeah. Look, it is. I'm excited, and it being in a stadium now as well as. These are the type of fights that you love to be in, walking out in a stadium and that. And look, I'm really looking forward to it. All I need to do now is stay on track, have no injuries, keep performing like I am, and we're in for a great night.
Well, Dennis, we're really looking forward to seeing you in action against Tommy Brown. Give us your prediction for how your fight ends.
Oh, yeah, look, a big win for me. That's it.
All right, well, the very best of luck to you. Thanks so much for joining us, and we can't wait to see you on November the 17th.
Thanks, Ben. Take care. All the best.
And that is our look at this big undercard for a massive night of boxing on Main Event. You can order Tszyu v Inoue now at mainevent.com.au, but we'll see you on November the 17th on Main Event. I'm Ben Damon. I'll see you at the fights.